I want to make a small video about the possibility of aliens, basically possibility of life on other planets. There is a short video about why evolution is impossible and why climate, good climate, why multicellular organisms need adult trees to basically survive, to have a weather that allows them to survive. On my channel you can check, but let's go with the alien thing. So first thing first, to have a planet that support life, you have to have a lot of conditions that are met. The first condition, and the most important, you have to have a galaxy that is not too active and not too cold. This means this eliminates almost a large percentage, maybe 99% of the galaxies out there. So from the start you take out of the equation a lot of galaxies. We're not talking about stars, galaxies. Now on the few galaxies that are just right, to say the least, you can only have life on a ring, a very small ring, close to the outer rim of the galaxy, because otherwise you have either too much radiation or it's too cold or so on. Now we already restricted the amount of stars that can have life for a lot. Next, you have the size of the star. It cannot be too big or too small. It has to be just about the size of our sun, because otherwise if it's too small it cannot produce enough heat. If it's too big it will produce too much heat, and of course then you have a problem as well. Then you have something that most people that do not consider is you have to have a similar structure of planets like our own. Why? Well, there are a number of reasons. First and foremost, the planets in our solar system have the purpose of regulating the fusion reaction inside the sun, so it doesn't go too fast or too slow. Just as inside the fission reactor you have some bars that provide some control over how fast, how many reactions happen. Or in natural ones, water does this. Basically, we found a few fission reactions that happen naturally, where water acted as a coolant, as a control mechanism. Basically, when the water got hot, the fission didn't happen anymore because the neutron speed was too fast. So you need to have a certain amount of planets orbiting around it, so that the processes inside the sun don't happen too fast or too slow. Now the second reason why a very similar planet system is needed, like our solar system, is the following. The inner planets, basically the ones that are closer than us to the sun, act as a sunshade, basically protecting us from some of the radiation from the sun, so that not a lot of it goes directly to us. We saw the heat waves, and we know what happens when a lot of sun radiation goes to Earth, so we know that they are needed. Next you have the outer planets, which, interesting enough, except for Mars, which I'll return on, and some other planets like Pluto, which unfortunately is not considered a planet anymore, are extremely big. Now, why they are extremely big, it's a good reason. Basically, their purpose, in my opinion, is to block big chunks of stuff that may fly from the space, or if not block, at least slow down or deviate, because their gravity will just redirect everything. That's why a lot of asteroids end up in the asteroid belt. Some believe that it was a planet that was exploded. I don't believe so. I believe that the outer planets that have a great gravity have redirected a lot of the debris that might have ended close to Earth in that space. Especially the ones that didn't go went perpendicular to the axis of our solar system, to say. Now, Mars as a planet is not a big planet, but it has its own purpose, because it blocks medium to small asteroids from reaching the Earth. Basically, all those rocks, instead of reaching the Earth, they bombard Mars. And that's a good thing, because without Mars, they would go to Earth. And then you have the need for one or two moons, similar to the moon, our moon. You cannot have more than 2 moons because it would cause other problems, and you cannot have no moons because there are a number of reasons, and I'm going to go why you cannot have no moons. The first reason, and the most important, is the fact that, okay, when an asteroid crashes into something, it most often than not breaks into smaller pieces, and those smaller pieces have a higher velocity, and they can escape the gravity of whatever, in this case Mars, and they can still be big enough to cause issues. So the moon acts also as a protection to the Earth against smaller size asteroids, but big enough to annihilate a big part of the Earth. To put it in context, the biggest meteorite that fell on the Earth that destroyed a big chunk of it, probably the size of a metropolitan city, would destroy something about the size of a metropolitan city or a bit bigger, but it will not cause a big issue at a planet level. Maybe some dust that will settle in a few months, but that's about it. I know there is a theory about the asteroid that killed the dinosaurs. That's bullshit. Dinosaurs were killed first by the flood, and then by the change of temperature, because after the flood, the amount of heat and radiation, the amount of the weather changed a lot due to the decrease in the water thickness of the atmosphere, and the ones that survived were mostly killed by humans, because a big animal can cause a lot of issues to a human, even if it's a peaceful one, like herbivore, and also because it will be a competition for food, and why have something that it's a big competition for food? The other reason why we need an element like the moon is because the moon also stabilizes the weather on the Earth, helping with the changes of seasons and other problems. So you need all this just to have a planet that is stable enough to support life, to be colonized by us, basically. So this is a planet, at this point you have a planet that can be colonized by humans. If you have a ship that can reach it, a planet with all these conditions I mentioned until now, which are a lot, can be colonized by humans. But then to have life, you have to have water on it, an atmosphere. To have a stable weather system, you need to have adult trees or something to regulate it. We don't know what can regulate stuff like that except for trees. Otherwise you would have like 50 degrees today and I don't know, 10 or minus 10 tomorrow, and nothing can really adapt this much. You can argue that in deep sea life can survive and so on. Maybe. But even that life needs some basic things like some constant sunlight and other stuff. It still needs some things to survive. It cannot survive just because. So that's why I believe that the probability of intelligent life existing in the universe is basically zero. Now, I say intelligent life because unicellular life like bacteria or such, I'm pretty sure there are some traces of bacteria on other planets because, we have sent probes on other planets, and maybe a passing comet may have some microbes hitchhiking on it or so on that could possibly survive in rougher conditions. But from that to intelligent life, that's impossible. Also, assuming against all odds that there is intelligent life, it's a moot subject because that intelligent life would be so far away from us that the only way it can detect us, detect it, or we're not even talking here about traveling, is to have wormhole technology, which and even then, considering how high cost wormhole technology is, it's counterintuitive. They would just pop wormholes everywhere just to check if some planet somewhere in the universe has life. No one would do that. Also, so no, even if life against all odds exists, there is no chance for us to find it. So there is no point in actually even searching for it. It's even if you consider that the only two types of lives are intelligent life that can exist to the level required for us to consider intelligent are humanoid and insectoid. Well, I think it's better to us to avoid such life, especially if it's an insectoid life, because insects have a way to basically destroy everything if they don't have predators. So they'll destroy us. There'll be like a wave of locusts just destroying planet after planet after planet. And it's better not to search trouble. So, bye.